adjustment internally about the mechanism. So having said that, we have a motion second to approve ordinance 2015-10. Call the roll.
Councilman Ford?
No.
Councilman Burnett?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bastian?
Yes.
Yes, 4-1. Next is move to award the RFQ 15 architectural services, Cypress Head. Who's going to speak, make a motion? Someone, please.
Move to approve item 21 as recommended.
Do I have a second? I second it. You're not in charge.
Your chair. Run the meeting.
Do we have a?
We have a motion and a second. Now we can discuss it. You're up.
Okay. Are we getting out in front of ourselves with this? Is this one of those where we're getting the cart before the horse type of thing?
I think we're behind it. I think
We're behind it?
Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing, how can you do it? That's all. But
Okay. All right, well then we'll we have a motion and a second. Let's open it up it's open for further discussion then. And I see there were 3, and we have a bid for $35,000. What are the construction costs? Do we have that yet?
You won't have that until your architect does some work. I mean, when we don't
Have an idea?
have some preliminary, well, you have a budget of
Rough.
$500,000. So we want to work within that budget.
He has all his. All right, so
just point at Scott and tell him to start.
we'll start with you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not inclined to vote in favor of this. I think we do have the cart before the horse, if I can steal that slogan there. I need at least a good solid workshop here to discuss the vision and what exactly we hope to gain out of this before we start giving an architectural contract to start drawing up something that I don't even know where that vision is right now. But I think this is a little premature, and I definitely think we should have a workshop, if not maybe a couple. And I really don't see a need to rush this on the clubhouse. We need to get this right. There's no question. We got phase 1 headed in the right direction. That needs to be done. And I think we need to approach this with the same caution that we did that and figure out exactly what's going to be in the best interest of the community out there and what to do with that clubhouse. So
Let's move. We'll just move down the line this way.
Okay. I think you have to employ an architect, and I think you have to be part of that design criteria to be able to establish exactly what you want. As you establish a budget, and you're going to have to be able you have to establish what you want to do. And having worked with this particular architect over the years, and I was a part of this selection committee, he's going to give you options. You ask him for the options, and he's going to attach a value to it. So you should be able to go, because you've gotten certain criteria that you want. I think, each of us have a different thing. In my opinion, it's not going to be some upscale dining area. That's not the intent of the clubhouse. There are certain things that have always bothered me from the beginning. The bar is in the wrong place, which is my number one complaint. You can't go out there and even talk. Whether you do the meeting room in the back, some of it, are the other things that trigger it, whether you move the bar, whether you do not, whether you develop the back room for events. But then what they'll talk to you about the bathrooms and those kind of things. But you're going to have to limit to what you do to the money. The kitchen is extremely small. It is not for that kind of food. It is, if you go out for those who have ever been to the downwinds, have y'all ever been over there? The little old thing, they produce a great meal. It's nothing, they took you, and it's just a very, very small kitchen. They have expanded it in recent years, but they can still produce a great meal. That's my opinion. I think you have to upgrade it. You have to make it functionally correct. The bar bothers me more than anything.
Well, that's going to cost a lot more money than what we're talking about here then, because this isn't moving the bar and redesigning all that.
No, you don't know what you're trying to spend your money wisely. That's all you're going to do. You want your options, but
Well, if it wasn't,
I'm sorry, but when you mention fine dining, though, you're talking like tie and formal dresses and stuff like that, right? I mean,
But that's what people were leading that way.
okay.
And that's.
Because I like the concept of what the downwind has. I mean, to me, that's not fine dining. That's great community comfort
That's
food,
not
whatever.
what's called, yeah. But there are some people that wanted this,
Yeah, and
that meeting room to be more formal, and I disagree with that. The downwinds does produce a great meal and a great atmosphere.
Well, if the bar's in the wrong place, then that would send me back to whenever that was constructed in 91, 92, 93. Why did we allow that then?
I wasn't part of that committee.
Who built it?
I built it as a big contractor,
Okay.
but I didn't vote on it. I was out of
No,
office.
but
I had been out of office for quite a while.
All right. Okay.
And I disagree with Ken McGee. He was the architect that was at Riddle when I was construction manager, and he and I disagreed a great deal in Riddle and design build criteria. But you don't always
Should
win.
have pushed harder.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to Don and Bob.
Yeah.
The question I have is that I don't want the budget to drive what we're going to do, because rather I'd like our vision there to drive the budget and decide, because the vision is what we want to do with that building, and that's the important thing. If we can't get out of it what we want out of it, then I really don't want to do anything at all. Some of the things I'm thinking of, some of them are simpler, some of them a little harder. We don't have, is it easier for them to design an outdoor seating area where we put tables and chairs, it's covered, a TV, and some service? It doesn't have to be large, but it can be nice. It could be overlooking either direction. I think that those are things that we have to maybe incorporate the architect in the visioning, and that's why I think maybe we ought to consider having him. The other thing is that I thought that the cart barn works in the wrong direction. You have people return the carts at the far end of the barn instead of at the near end, right where the clubhouse is, encouraging them to just go to their car and leave. So there's some functional things that I would like maybe in our visioning what we want to do with this thing, that maybe the architect can answer for us if what's possible and what isn't. So maybe there's some things that we can decide in a preliminary workshop that we might need an architect for later in a follow-up workshop, if you guys want to go that route. But at some point, we're going to need him when we finalize our vision, whether, so we can actually, he can tell us what we can do and how much it's going to cost, because those questions have to be answered. I don't want to drive the vision, then go hire the architect and have him come back, and then we get sticker shock from it. That's a concern I have.
Okay. Alan?
I agree with Scott. We're way ahead of ourselves. We need a business plan. What are we going to run it like? Is it going to be, and I thank you for the nice survey of all the different golf courses. They break out very nicely into different business plans. Mm-hmm. One is basically hamburger, hot dog. You hire a cook, and you provide finger foods for the golfers for their convenience, lunch, and maybe something in the early evening as the golfers come in. And that is traditionally what, first of all, that building I think was designed for originally. And if we're going to do that, then we really don't need to do much. Okay? Second one is, I thought it was fine dining. Okay? And that clearly is very complex, because clearly if you're going to have fine dining, which with the filet mignons, and I mean, they've made an effort at it out there. It was not an effort that went very well financially, but it was a nice try. That's going to be very expensive. If you're going to do that, if you're going to take a shot at that market to run a full-service, upper-end restaurant there, you're going to have to spend a lot on that building, because it is certainly not designed for that type of thing. Third option is banquet facility. Now, golf courses generally need a place because they have a little, generally when they have a tournament, they need a place to go. where they can get together and give out awards and the like, and maybe have a little meal and the like. And that's another option. Then you have additional business plan options. You can take the example from, for example, the Chamber. The Chamber has a very nice facility there. It doesn't have a kitchen. It doesn't cook it itself. It does have a kitchen, by the way. But it is, they use vendors. They bring in caterers, and that's a model. So we're way ahead of ourselves. If we're going to design this, we have to first decide what, and I don't want to spend $35,000 for a guy to sit there listening to us discuss what is our model. And by the way, I urge all of you to read the little analysis of the different golf courses, because this comes to my final and concluding remark on this. If you look at the neighboring courses, municipal courses, and how they work their dining, take a look at the bottom line, how much they made and how much they lost, okay? Because some lost a lot of money, or reasonable amount of money. Some made some money. Nowhere did I see anyone make sufficient money to do the carrying cost we're talking about to pay back to the taxpayers for this facility. So the next thing the council's got to figure, am I willing to go into debt, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000? And it's clear we're not going to get paid back for it. We're just doing it because we want to really have a top flight restaurant. Got to make it clear, because I cannot see financially any of the business plans being able to operate and pay in any reasonable amount of time the amount that facility will cost to construct. So I certainly agree with Scott. We really need a workshop to decide where we want to go, and then we can hire somebody to help us get there. But if we're just wasting their time, and we're wasting $35,000, having an architect sitting there. We don't need an architect to tell us where we go. In fact, if you wanted anyone, you needed a finance person and someone from the restaurant industry to tell you what model would work best for us, because right now we've got a lot of options.
Okay.
Well, my thinking is, and I mentioned it during the hearing with Cypress Head, that I don't think we should be in the restaurant business. I'd like to see us move to lease that out to a restaurateur and work with them on what, type of improvements should be made, and how we participate and how they participate. And, if costs can be, the lease can be reduced or whatever, and they put their money into it to, make it fit their model or whatever, that'd be great. But I'd really like to see us get out of the restaurant business. I mean, the clubhouse is there. They have that. Kemper can do the pro shop, but if we're talking food and beverage, it's not a big revenue maker. It's struggling, and Kemper, it's all. I mean, that part of it's struggling. I'd like to really see us get out of that business. I believe New Smyrna did it. They leased it to a private restaurateur, and I mean, his business is increasing, and I think he's starting to get a following. It was fairly recently. It wasn't real long ago. So we should maybe look at that and just see if there's interest in having somebody come in there and lease that facility and operate the restaurant. We shouldn't be doing it. And go ahead, Margaret.
Just one thing I wanted to mention to you. The contract for this service has not been prepared because I needed to know exactly where council wanted to go before I worked on this contract. Although I have started it, I was waiting for more information. The thing that you may want to capture with this particular request that's gone out is you can go ahead and get the contract going, but don't authorize the work to start until you've had your vision, determine what you're looking for, and then you're ready to deliver it to the architect, and the architect's ready to go at that point. So you can control your start point for the architect to go to work, but you've got this other kind of administrative work done, the contract's sitting there, he's ready to go when you decide what it is you'd like to have.
So if we do approve this, we do not have to make any payments until we engage him and actually say, start working.
Yeah, just give me some idea of, do you want 60 days, 90 days, a year? Tell me how long, Because he may say, forget it, I don't want to wait a year, or he may say, fine.
I think we
But I
need
need
to,
to know what timing you want.
I think we need to approve the selection, but the actual contract pending the outcome of the decision for workshops.
Be good with that. You want to?
I really, that's a convoluted way of doing it. We have no idea what we want to do, but we're going to pick someone to do it for us.
The thing that.
Because we may, finally, one of the solutions may be to do nothing and wait till Kemper's contract, because one of the things that's clear, I believe the city attorney will probably be able to tell us better than I, but I don't know if we can hire an outside vendor under the current contract. Kemper does maintain, as I read the contract, the responsibility for food services. So we may have to wait till 17 to do it.
Well, you have to ask whether you can get that amendment, and if it's not making them any money, I don't know that they'll argue with you a whole lot.
I don't know.
When it was first brought up, Mike didn't seem to object. I mean, we
No, I
have
got
to obviously
necessarily
ask him.
Mike's call, though.
And of course, but it seemed like they would be willing to cooperate.
I got a very different impression at the last golf board meeting
Okay.
from a guy named Jody. Yeah, so.
Well, we can open it up to the public now. All right, more comments? Let's do public before we decide to vote.
You're in charge.
All right. Anybody from the public want to speak? Come on up, Ted.
Ted Knopfler again, Vice Mayor, I guess.
Yes.
Should I address him?
Yes.
Absolutely.
He's
As
above.
council.
You're just one of the peons at this point, Mayor?
Oh, yeah, I'm just got 20%.
Actually, I enjoyed you better when you were a peon than when you were mayor. Remember in the days when Dorothy was there? And
Oh, yeah, that was a wonderful time in my life.
you performed well in those days, Mayor.
Ted, yeah, and Ted, you're using up your time there, so let's stay on on your subject.
I don't see any time on that timer, Drew, and I don't think you can't
I can't
touch
reach it. I can't reach it.
Ooh, now you're throwing the whole thing in
We'll give
in
you 3
disarray
minutes.
here.
I'm just doing my 20%.
We'll give you 3 minutes.
Mayor, I'm going to be real brief. The manager just threw out a number at me that I found amusing. 500,000 is now the budget for the building? When did it jump to 500,000 for the building? It wasn't the numbers we've been talking about all along.
I may have misspoken, but that's what I recollect is 500,000.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought
what
that-
is the
maybe it's
budget for
four,
this
I don't know.
project? Vice Mayor, what is the project? What is the budget? 500 for the building? How much for the course? How much for the soft costs?
We're going to bring the finance director up.
That shouldn't eat into my time, though.
Well,
No.
then,
Yes.
Whoa. If I may,
Okay.
let him finish all of his questions.
So maybe it was 3 for the building.
All
I
right.
just,
Ted, go ahead and finish, and then we'll let her.
No, she'll contribute. Drew, and I'll-
Okay,
no
well-
problem.
Okay.
The CIP lists $1,250,000, $750 for the course, $500 for the clubhouse.
that's what I remember.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
And where are the soft costs in that, Mayor?
The soft costs are included in the operating budget. It is $513,000 funded from the loan pool.
From the loan pool. Okay. There you go,
So
Ted. Does that-
750 plus 5 again? Is that the total cost?
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
So I thought initially we were talking 1.6. Now that would lead me to 1.7 plus.
Yeah.
Man, that was all I had was the cost of this thing, and I think that's wonderful. And the soft costs now are over 500,000. Is that what I just heard?
That's the
That's the
proposal.
budget. That's not the proposed cost. That is the budgeted amount.
Okay.
the
So
budget.
we got no problem eating 470, Councilman Ford. We got 500 budgeted.
I don't,
But as you pointed out earlier, I don't really understand this
I
stuff,
don't
so,
really understand how it got budgeted.
Yeah, direct it here. Keep it coming over here.
What is very interesting, I found out today, we budgeted in last year's budget, 512,000, 513,000 for soft cost from the loan fund, without council really understanding what we did. Did you know that? That's already been budgeted?
budget, well, the source I thought was identified, but we never approved the expenditure.
We didn't improve the expenditure, but yes, we did. It was moved, as I understand it, and Tracy can correct me, in this year's budget, it is budgeted from the loan fund, I found that out today, $513,000 for soft cost is already budgeted.
Up to a maximum.
No, well, all I'm saying is,
Because we haven't,
we haven't agreed to anything.
I don't want to use up your time. Go
No.
ahead.
I don't want to throw this into total disarray,
Okay.
but could we get a balance on what's in the loan budget fund,
You have to
whatever
come
it's
over.
called? What is the balance in that, Vice Mayor?
I do not know
You wanna call the finance
I don't know the
director up
budget,
and
but
ask her?
is that something you can answer, Tracy? Or Mr. Harden could bring it back to us. We can get that provided.
I would prefer to bring it back because I do recall that we've recently obligated some funds for the loan fund for that
Very good.
that housing project that we were doing, so I'd want to take another look at that.
Okay. Mr. Manager, could you make sure that gets
Yes.
provided? Thank you.
This month, Vice Mayor?
As soon as possible.
No, you said we'll get back to you.
Okay. In keeping with Mayor Green, we'll get back to you, Ted. Yes, sir.
Some of the soft costs you have to understand is also the maintenance of the other facilities, not just soft costs. You have to maintain the building. You still are doing other things with the cars.
Yeah, we're keeping the air on, and
Yeah.
I know we have lease payments, but I want to,
But
when
you
we
also-
do that, we want to make sure that we minimize those. I don't just want to
Understand.
write a blank check for that.
But you're using the word soft costs, there's also some maintenance costs.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I would suggest that we just go ahead and table the approval. And the reason why I suggest that is that if we fail to approve, I don't want to have to go back through that bid process again. But if we table it, then we decide to hire an architect later, then we've already picked one, and we can negotiate with them at that
And
time.
we have
So
a
that would
rough
be,
fee.
if that's amenable to everybody else, I'll go ahead and motion to table this.
Make the motion.
I just did.
I can't second it.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, table, no date certain, correct? Motion to just table.
Leave it on the table.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to table. Do we need to call roll, or just, is that? Okay, Councilman Stiltner has something.
Another couple comments real quick before we vote on this is the memorandum that's in here from the architecture doesn't indicate how long those fees are good for. In other words, they haven't indicated that this rate or these, apparently we don't have a contract, so I'm kind of looking to see, they've provided some fees and they've indicated what their understanding is of the renovation. And so that's some more concern that I have there, is that they've indicated that without us really having this vision workshop, so to speak. But I do think we would want to know, if we can kind of get an idea why it's tabled, how long are they willing to honor these particular fees, which I think will help us.
And you can find that out,
The other
correct?
comment is, how do we give them a fee when, because
We don't know the scope of work.
we don't know the
Right.
scope of work.
Right.
We don't know how much it's going to cost. Now,
Yeah.
technically, we've always said, what's a general standard for architects in terms of percentage of project cost? 6 to 10%?
Well, you gotta be, no, if you're getting up to 10, you've got, now be careful when you say architect, it includes electrical, mechanical, it's got other disciplines within his. The difference is, if you do the development, there's no really site civil engineer involved in it, so when you're getting that 10 to 12%, includes the civil, but you're probably somewhere between 6 and 8, and it could be a little bit more in the compressed schedule, in my opinion.
All right, so do we need to call the roll?
I wasn't finished yet. Thank
Okay.
you. Sorry, Vice Mayor.
Well, continue.
And lastly, I just want to comment that I think with some of the discussion tonight, I think there is some pretty general consensus on the vision that we have. I think we just need to hammer that out. But what I'd like to try to do is, once we kind of hammer that vision out and we have a general business plan, we need to figure out who we're going to bring into this plan. And I think that's a key component before we go to this table with an architect. For example, let's say that we want to lease it out to somebody who wants to do something similar to the downwind. We need to discuss whether or not that's an option that we're willing to entertain. And if that's the case, that person that's willing to do that probably should be sitting at this table, because it's going to be them that's bringing part of their vision to make that successful. So just something else to think about it. But I definitely think we need some type of probably a very broad scope workshop to start this with. So
Yeah, and I'd definitely like to include some, if there's some interest from the professional restaurant operators, the guys that do it for a living, and they're willing to, contribute. I'd like to have them in there.
Well, I think you need to make that decision first. If the majority wants to go that way, then you would invite them to come in.
Okay.
I don't know that you've got a majority that wants to do that right now.
Okay. Well, we can work on that. Susan?
Good evening, Susan Laval, Parks and Recreation Director. I just want to make sure everybody understands our calendar. If you want to put this off, that's fine, but we're on a very tight schedule. So if we put this off, it will put the whole project off, and we've budgeted for the soft costs already, which will extend that time frame. So just as you're thinking, we had anticipated doing a workshop with the architect on board to listen, similar to what we did with the golf course renovations. We hired that architect first. We did the workshop with the community out at Cypress Head. They got to hear what the ideas were. They came up with the scope based on the consensus of the council, based on the consensus of the community. They provided that information to the council. The council then moved forward to go ahead and out to bid. So just so you know, whatever decision you make tonight, if you want to do that, I just wanted you to know those effects of the schedule and where we are and how putting this off would affect that schedule.
Well, was it an all or nothing deal? I mean, we could make the course improvements.
Right, but you budgeted soft costs for closure. So when you close down the clubhouse to do it, you're closing it again, is what I'm trying to say. So it could cost us more in the end as you look at it that way.
Okay,
But
I
that's
got you.
just
Yes, sir.
some insight.
I did, quite a few years ago, I was the general superintendent, built Oceanside Country Club, and they set up in a trailer. They had the carts, and they set up the thing. They ran administratively out of it to rent the carts and have a golf course open. So there's kind of a way to do it, but if you're going to do them separately,
Yeah, but then you're talking about 9 holes and operating 9.
No, they did. They had shut down. We did.
Oh, okay.
They just ran it from a.
I got you. So they set up a temporary trailer for.
You've got the cart barn, and you got a trailer, and you got restrooms. So.
Okay, so we can do that. So
I want to make sure, Susan, are you when you say the schedule, are you talking about what was an anticipated time to have the clubhouse shut down in terms of being able to lease it out for events and use the banquet room and stuff like that?
Correct. We have been moving towards the schedule that we would be closed from May 1st to November 1st.
For the clubhouse as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Where all operations would stop, and that's how the budget was presented and adopted last year for the clubhouse, was that the golf course would generally be closed for those 6 months. So if you want us to meet the deadline of November 1st, then we would need to stay on schedule. If you don't want us to meet and you want to revisit this, and like you said, you want to do this clubhouse in 2017, then that's what you guys decide to do. But know that it will interfere with the revenues during that time again. So you'll be continually looking at that as we move forward.
Clubhouse is losing money. So
Correct,
interfering with those revenues would
that
be
wouldn't
terribly horrible.
that wouldn't be too.
But Susan does need some direction tonight, though. So, or I guess the city manager needs the direction actually. But nonetheless, I think we need to take care of this item that you have tabled, and then we can probably discuss that.
Mr. Chair, the item on the table is about hiring an architect. It's not about the decisions that we need to make down the road. So we can't do that now anyway. So I would just say that as soon as a workshop can be scheduled, we need to do it so that we can give direction.
So
Move to the question.
So
we're going to
let's
keep it
move
on
to
the
the
table.
question.
We're going to keep
Leave it on the table, and we're flexible.
Okay, and then we move forward with scheduling a workshop, and
Call the question.
we have roll call on the tabling, please.
Councilman Ford?
Yes, table.
Councilman Burnett?
Yes.
Councilman Stiltner?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Bastion?
Yes.
Mayor Green?
I'll vote no, just to be
Vote no.
honored.
Is he back up now?
Next is city attorney comments.
No comments additionally this evening.